How's this?
Works for me.
This is fine.
So, you said you were going to give us more history.
Yes, about Democrats. And why you say that they are the ones who are the racists.
Well, it's not just my opinion, it's their actions over the last 150 years.
What do you mean by actions?
Well, let me start by saying that bigotry is deplorable in any context, but it is especially a problem for a liberal, because it is a crucial part of the liberal self-conception that liberalism is the negation of bigotry. But their entire history tells quite a different story, right up to this day.
So, what kind of history are you talking about?
Well, let's start 3 years after the Civil War. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, granting blacks citizenship in the United States, came before the Congress. 94% of Republicans endorsed it.
What about the Democrats?
The records of Congress reveal that not one Democrat, either in the House nor the Senate, not a single one, voted for the 14th Amendment. 3 years after the Civil War, and the Democrats from the North as well as the South were still refusing to recognize any rights of citizenship for black Americans.
Well, it was slavery that was a big reason the Civil War took place.
That's true, but let me give you a timeline and show you it has always been much more than that.
What? A timeline from the Civil War to today?
Actually, from before the Civil War until now. On March 20th, 1854, opponents of Democrats' pro-slavery policies meet in Ripon, Wisconsin to establish the Republican Party. Then on May 30th, 1854, Democrat President Franklin Pierce signed the Democrats' Kansas-Nebraska Act, expanding slavery into United States territories, causing opponents to unite to form the Republican Party. On June 16, newspaper editor Horace Greeley calls on opponents of slavery to unite with the Republican Party. On July 6, the first state Republican Party officially organized in Jackson, Michigan, to oppose Democrats' pro-slavery policies. On February 11, 1856, Republican Montgomery Blair goes before the Supreme Court on behalf of his client, the slave Dred Scott. He later served in President Lincoln's cabinet. On February 22, the first national meeting of the Republican Party met in Pittsburgh to plan opposition to Democrats' pro-slavery policies. Then on March 27, the first meeting of the RNC met in Washington, D.C. to oppose the Democrats' pro-slavery policies. On May 22, just for denouncing the Democrats' pro-slavery policy, Republican Senator Charles Sumner was beaten nearly to death on the floor of the Senate by Democratic Representative Preston Brooks, and it took him 3 years to recover.
What?
Holy crap.
Yes, really? Then on March 6 the next year, Republican Supreme Court Justice John McClain issued a strenuous dissent, due to the decision by 7 Democrats in the infamous Dred Scott case, that blacks have no rights that any white man should be bound to respect. Didn't Lincoln begin to get involved about then? Correct. On June 26, Lincoln declared the Republican position that slavery was cruelly wrong. Meanwhile, the Democrats cultivated and excited hatred for blacks. How so? Well, for one, on October 13, 1858, during the Lincoln-Douglas debates, Democratic Senator Stephen Douglas states, "I do not regard the Negro as my equal, and positively deny that he is my brother, or any kin to me whatever." As a result, Douglas became the Democratic Party's 1860 presidential nominee. On October 25, 1858, Republican Senator William Seward described the Democratic Party as inextricably committed to the designs of the slaveholders, and later, as President Lincoln's Secretary of State, he helped draft the Emancipation Proclamation.
I'm amazed how little of that part of history I understood.
I am too. Please go on.
Okay, well, on April 16, 1862, Lincoln signed a bill abolishing slavery in the District of Columbia. 99% of Republicans voted in favor of it. 83% of the Democrats voted to continue slavery in the district. On July 2, Republican Justin Morial won passage of the Land Grant Act.
And what was the Land Grant Act?
I know that one. It established colleges that would be open to black Americans, like George Washington Carver.
Absolutely correct. Then, on July 17th, over unanimous opposition from the Democrats, Republicans passed the Confiscation Act, stating that slaves of the Confederacy shall be forever free. On August 19th, Republican Horace Greeley wrote the prayer of 20 million, calling on Lincoln to declare emancipation. Shortly after, Lincoln authorized enlistment of black soldiers in the Army, and in September issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, in 1864, Republicans voted for equal pay for African American troops. Then they repealed the Fugitive Slave Act. Then on January 31, 1865, a Republican House passed the 13th Amendment banning slavery, and even in the face of intense Democratic opposition, it passed with unanimous Republican support. In 1865, a Republican Congress established the Freedmen's Bureau, to provide health care, education, and technical assistance to emancipated slaves. In April, the 13th Amendment banning slavery passed by the Senate with 100% Republican support, and 63% of Democrats voted to continue slavery.
I seem to remember something near that time that happened in either Texas or Mississippi, but I forget which.
You're right, but actually, it was both. Troops landed in Galveston, Texas to enforce a ban on slavery that had been declared more than 2 years before. And in November, Republicans denounced the Democrats of Mississippi for enacting black codes, which institutionalized racial discrimination. Then, on December 6, 1865, the Republican Party's 13th Amendment, banning slavery, was finally ratified.
This just gets more and more interesting. What do you say we continue this over drinks?
Good idea. Let's head over to Charlie's.
Are you gentlemen finished?
Yes, thank you. Ask Andy to put this on my tab. Will you?
I'll be happy to. Thank you, gentlemen.